Hi, good morning again. It's Allan without the B-Man again today. We are here at the other office, the floating office today. I'm going to get right into this video, and this video is going to be a hard one for me because I have to stay on point. I can't wander off and I can't chase any squirrels, which is kind of one of my favorite things to do. But hopefully I don't squirrel off too deep, because that could really make this video too long to watch, and nobody wants that, right? Nobody. Please stop the camera. That man is rambling. Okay, so this is going to be called the Volcano Bond, and I did look it up. It is EBB1 is its ticker tape. You can find it on Bitfinex. So I think 2022 latest February, I believe, is launch on that. We'll stay in touch on that. This is a really neat bond. This is really cool. I'm going to go over some of the topics that I put down. I can't cover everything. There's no way. It's just so complex, and it's so neat and so much fun. So essentially, it's a 10-year bond, and it's $1 billion bond. And what they're going to do is they're going to write the bond. It's going to be on the blockchain. You're going to be able to hold this in your own wallet. From what I understand, from the research I've done so far, we don't know until it's completely live what we can do. But in your own wallet, and it seems like its liquidity is going to be very good because of the people they're going through have Bitfinex and others connected all over the crypto sphere. Okay, so it's a 10-year bond. Minimum deposit is $100, and I can't tell you how happy I am about that. This is not investment advice, but everybody should throw $100 in this thing minimum, because you can. Most bonds are $1,000 to $10,000 minimum, and this is one of the beautiful things about this bond that's coming up. The little guy can get in. And I know a lot of people can't even afford $100, and that's challenging. But for a long-term Bitcoin investment, which is what this will be, that's a neat entryway. It's really neat. So I'm going to get into some of the details of this bond and what's happening with it. To date, their bonds in El Salvador are not great. They're very risky. I believe they're CCC rated, which is not great, a little risky. They're also getting a great deal of pressure from the SEC, as you might imagine, because of what they've done with Bitcoin recently, has put the spotlight directly over their country. And again, I don't understand why the SEC thinks they can involve themselves in other countries' business. But they're currently doing that with Bitcoin futures in Canada, and they did it recently with Veritasium in Jamaica. And I think they're overstepping their bounds a little bit, but that's a rabbit hole. We're not going to go down at this time. So it's a 10-year bond. They're trying to raise $1 billion, and how it's going to work roughly is like this. 500 million of it will go directly into Bitcoin. Great idea, by the way. I'm going to really elaborate on that in future videos, but hopefully I'm going to try and keep this one somewhat informative and not too deep on that. Half of the bond is Bitcoin. The other half is building geothermal plants. This is not building the Bitcoin city yet. That'll be in the second or third bonds, and there's going to be many bonds to come. So the second half is going to be building geothermal plants. How cool is that? Everybody's going to be in line with that. Geothermal plants, to those of you who don't know, I have quite a bit of experience with. I've actually toured one. There's, in my old hometown, there was one built in the late 70s, early 80s, that's still running today. I'm no expert in the category, but I know you don't have to build a giant dam, and you don't have to choke off rivers, and you don't have to there's a lot of hydro issues. There's a lot of problems with rebar and cement and all the rest of with building a dam. A lot of that doesn't exist in geothermal. It's a great way of producing energy, as we're going to really learn, because it's really exploding right now. So one of the best things about this bond, in my opinion, is that half the bond is in an asset, and it is considered by the SEC in the United States anyway, in many countries, as an asset. That's Bitcoin. So the other half is building something that produces electricity. Win-win, if you ask me. So let's say even if Bitcoin went to zero, you still have a massive electric producing plant. So is the bond going to go to zero? Well, no, because you're going to be the bond holders. For many of you that don't know this out there, I studied bonds for many, many years. The bond holders are first at the pay window if things go bad. They're paid first. And that would put you in a position of owning a power plant, which on a Bitcoin default, it's a great backup to have. So, okay, so you're probably wondering what the coupon rate, and for those of you who don't know what a coupon rate is, that's what it pays in percentage each annually, okay? So 6.5% is its rate. When I was talking about earlier, as their rates were paying 13%, but they're very risky bonds, and they're not backed up by Bitcoin, and they're not backed up by a geothermal plant. So that's, a big bonus. 6.5% automatically on your money is really good. But just imagine what Bitcoin's been going up 170% annually. Electricity goes up, I don't know where you live, but it goes up about 5 to 10% annually where I live. So you have the best of both worlds there. This could potentially be one of the greatest bonds ever created. And I know that's saying a lot. It is, but it's true. It could be. I don't know if many of you know this, but there's a man by the name of Michael Saylor out there who does many Bitcoin videos. And MicroStrategy's created a bond to buy Bitcoin last year in 2020. And I'm pretty sure that was the #1 bond in the world last year. You can look that up. I know it certainly was in the US, but anyway, it outperformed every other bond. Well, this new bond in El Salvador is going to not only buy Bitcoin, it's going to create electricity to mine further Bitcoin. So that's a gift that keeps on giving years and decades down the road. So the neat thing about this bond is its liquidity. It's going to be on an exchange. It's going to be on blockchain. Therefore, it's not going to be, shall we say, suppressed, regulated, controlled, stomped on by the SEC and others. That's an amazing thing. That is a video in itself, that this thing is going to be out of mainstream normal bond writing laws and rules and regulations. This is revolutionary in that way. It's amazing to me that it's happening. In this space, and being my financial background from 25 years ago, I was studying about bonds when I was 25 years old, 35 years ago. I never thought a day like today could come. Now, it isn't here yet. It's around the corner, though, and it is coming. And it's going to be a great investment. Not financial advice at all, but I believe it's going to be a great investment for a lot of people. And it's filling up already. So it's going to be great. We had this opportunity. And the opportunity before us is when you have a financial backing of a country, a sovereign country, and the backing of electricity, and the backing of Bitcoin, this is an opportunity for all people. Anyone in the world can buy this. To my knowledge, you'd have to look into your own laws in your own local areas. Anyone can buy this bond. This thing is going to outproduce virtually any bond. I can't say that, so I'm not going to say that. So El Salvador's main goal with this is to get themselves out of debt. Now, debt accumulates through central bankers, and they create a lot of problems for smaller countries like this because you're always chasing your tail and you're never getting ahead. So you have to sometimes step outside the box like they are doing and creating this bond and creating a way to pay their debts to central bankers and to get out from underneath that system. Because in my opinion, they're not going to need that system in the future. They create their own electricity, they create their own wealth, they create their wealth through Bitcoin, and they create more currency, being Bitcoin, in their own country for their own people. This is going to be huge for their taxation of their people, the prosperity of public use. Electricity is the cleanest, best energy that the world has, and they're going to make it cheap, dirt cheap. They're using the volcanic electricity to produce all this. As we all know, it's brilliant. It's going to work amazingly well for a country that needs things to happen their way. Hopefully it does. So now I want to talk about what geothermal really means for the future of the world. This bond, as we've discussed, is created around this geothermal plant. Without getting too deep into this, because this could really go into a rabbit hole, I want everybody to get the basics of what I'm talking about. We had an industrial revolution 100 years ago, just over 100 years ago, globally. And that was based on fuel, okay? And before that, our economy, or the energy in money or currency, was in precious metals. And then it went to fuel. In 1971, we went off the gold standard in the United States, and we went into the petrodollar, so we went from metals to fuel. The future of energy, and energy is what we all are created with, and what powers the world is our personal vibration and energy, as many of us know. That energy the future of is electricity. And electricity is money. And never before, in a manner like this, has electricity ever been money. So the future of electricity is money. And I know that concept is really hard for a lot of people to understand, but if you produce electricity, let's say on a solar on your roof, or you're a dam and you create hydro, you can sell that to other people as electricity, right? That's what they did with oil. We sold barrels of oil for money. We're now going to sell electricity for money. But not everybody gets to be a municipality. In fact, we have to sell our electricity back to whatever company is your provider in your area, and they pay you less than it's actually worth, so they can make a profit and stay in business and keep the infrastructure running. Well, now the future of electricity is going to get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Why? Well, because we're pursuing more and more avenues. In particular, this conversation is about geothermal with this bond. It's going to get cheaper and cheaper to produce. But the beauty is, we know now we don't have to just use electricity to power these lights. We can use electricity to create wealth, just like Saudi Arabia became wealthy from oil. Little countries or countries around the world or places, almost every continent has some form of geothermal, is going to be able to turn that geothermal electricity into Bitcoin or into Litecoin or into Digibyte or whatever your crypto of choice is. But stop and think about that. Now, I've discussed in some other videos, but I'm going to go over those numbers roughly again. If you, where I live, which is California, electricity is very expensive, but still, it's only 10 cents, 15 cents a kilowatt, okay? So even if I sold it back at top dollar to my provider, I'm getting 15 cents a kilowatt. Well, today, current Bitcoin prices, as of today, I looked it up this morning, you can create 58 cents per kilowatt hour of a Bitcoin. So let's go back to 10 cents or 58 cents. Which way are you going to use your electricity to make money? In other words, like I'm talking about the old system, they were going, well, I'm going to sell my barrels of oil in the old way, in the old system, to whoever paid me the highest price. And then we would have organizations like OPEC and whatnot control the price of oil and who they sold it to and what they sold it for. Well, now you're going to be able to mine Bitcoin or anything and anywhere on the planet. Almost anywhere, you're going to be able to achieve this. It's a fascinating, deep conversation, and I said I wouldn't squirrel off into too many holes, but the key to this whole thing is mining Bitcoin at a profit rate of what I say 60 cents, nearly 60 cents from 10 cents to selling it to the grid. That's pure profit. That's pure profit to somebody who's getting electricity out of the ground, non-polluting electricity right out of the ground for tenths of pennies. When this power plant is finished, when these people have built an entire city with these bonds that I'm talking about, entire infrastructure, entire cities, entire companies will be paying no taxes. This is already in their bylaws. This is already being discussed. This is being created. This will be the motto town for many towns to come. In the future of any geothermal area, I would imagine. I mean, just think of Iceland. They have geothermal and they have cold weather. They don't even have to cool their mining rigs down. Anyway, I really am fascinated by this whole conversation, and the more I learn about it, the more I love it, and the bond that they've issued with it, again called the EBB1 bond, those are the ticker, you can look it up, is going to be coming up here on sale, and the terms are 6.5% annually, and you're going to hold 50% of that is going to be in Bitcoin. And in 5 years, I believe you have the option to either sell the Bitcoin, your 50% percentage of it, or it will automatically be sold. I am not positive on that. It's hard to get the answer to that one. But that's a neat bond. And now I've given you a little background of where I think the future of electricity is headed. Why? Because it's profitable. It's cheap and it's profitable and it's easy to monetize electricity and turn it into wealth. And many people say, well, Bitcoin isn't wealth to me. Well, you can transfer Bitcoin into gold or land or stocks or anything you would like. So that's just a little bit of background about what this new bond is all about and what I think it means to the world and the green energy and the electricity in the future. I've only just tapped into how I really feel about what's going to happen with electricity being the future of money. And I'm going to talk further about that in other videos. And there's a whole progression of the last 200 years that I'm going to walk us down that's really fun It's fascinating, and I think you're going to enjoy that video as well. So, to all our people out there who suffered through this, I promised I would try and make it concise, and I may have missed a couple things in there, but I believe I got the numbers that you were looking for about this new bond, what it's called, and where it's going to be launched. And that's going to be coming soon. So, until we meet again, until the next video, I hope you guys all have a great day. I'm out.